How's you going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to part 2 of hiding our electrical panel. So I've got the door assembled from last week, and what I'm going to do now is just get ready with the belt sander, and I'm going to sand it all to make sure all my half lap joints are nice and smooth. And then once that's done, we're going to rip the door down the middle, make 2 doors out of it. So let's get at her. So that doesn't feel too bad. I think we can live with that. By the time I get a coat of paint on it, it might look pretty good. Well, boys, it's getting serious now. I'm either going to make or break this project. What I have to do now is I want to cut the doors in half. So I made sure that my fence was set up, so I cut right down the center of the door. So I hope this works, because I put a lot of work into this so far. Well, it doesn't look terrible. One of the main reasons I wanted to sand these edges is because they were all cut with the table saw, and it just smoothed them up a little bit. I'm using the belt sander, so I've got the Gasman air filter running in the background. That's working good. I like that filter. When I take the router out now, I'm going to route the rabbet on the underside of it, of course. But I also want to put a little chamfer around the edge. So I have my chamfering bit in the router, and I'm going to run it around the inside of the openings on the face side, and then along the outside to put a chamfer on the outside. And then when I do that on both doors, then I'll flip it over and put a rabbeting bit in the router to do the rabbets. So I have to do this in stages because the way I have it clamped up, but I think we can get that. Alright, so that's all the chamfers on there. I'll just run the sanding block over those just to smooth them up a little bit, but I think that's going to do it. So I have the rabbeting bit set up in the router now with a guide bearing on it, so it should cut 3/8 of an inch deep, and I have it set up for about 1/4 of an inch depth. Okay, my first problem. The guide bearing come off the end. So I'm going to fix that and we'll be back. Well, I think I got that tightened up now. I also found the bit was moving too, so I tightened that up. Holy crow. How are you supposed to do good work, eh? Let's try it again. One thing about the router, sure does make a lot of sawdust. So I think that'll work. Kind of a mess right here, but that's no problem. It's on the inside of the door, no one will see it. So I'm going to reposition the door and finish cutting the other rabbets in this door and the other door. So my doors are all chamfered and hand sanded for the most part. But you know what? There's some rough spots, like there's a rough spot right there. Some of the joints aren't real tight. And I'm kind of pleased with the way they're turning out. So I'm going to spend some time, put a little bit of this crack filling goop on here, just to see if I can sweeten them up a little bit. So I'm just going to spend a little time and fill in the bad spots. So what I'd like to do now is lay out my hinges that go on the door. So the hinges are going to go on the wide stiles. So I got the doors turned over, the faces are down. This is the inside now of the door. And I'd like the hinges too. I'm going to put 4 hinges in each door. I'd like 1 on each of the rails. But I don't want to put the hinge too close to the top, because this top part of the door is going to overlay the frame, the face frame that I made over there, by 1/2 inch. So I'm thinking the top and bottom hinge can go, you know, down a ways from the top of the door. But the 2 middle ones, I'm going to end up putting them on these rails here, or try to. These cups are 35 millimeters in diameter, so half of that 17.5, and I like them to be as close as the edge to the edge of this as I could. So I'm thinking, you know, a couple millimeters. So I'm thinking if I come in 22 millimeters, then that ought to be good. So I set my calipers here to 22 mil. So if I put a mark right there, then that would be the mark right here. And then I'll put a center punch right there too, because that's where I'm going to drill my hole for the pocket hinge. And that should give me about 3/4 of it, a little less than 3/4 of an inch of overlay, which is probably going to be good. So I got quite the elaborate setup here at the drill press to drill my holes here with my 35 millimeter bit. So I've got the fence set here on the drill press, and then I took my pender lift and put my tool caddy on top of it and clamped the tool caddy to the pender lift so it won't move around. Adjusted the tool caddy to the proper height and tuned it in with the pender lift. So now I've got an auxiliary table here to hold the door while I try and drill a hole here. Before I get going, just a reminder that when the top of this bit gets flush with the back side of this, we know that the hole is deep enough. But I have a hinge here just to check it. That's deep enough. All right, so there's one hole. So I spent a lot of time to try to get the center of these cup holes at the exact same spot. But it turns out that that one there, it looks like it's about maybe 3 millimeters from the edge. This one looks like maybe 5 millimeters or 6. This one is about 5. And this one is about 2 maybe. So none of them turned out where I wanted them. So because those European cabinet hinges have so many adjustments, I'm going to be able to, or I hope I'm going to be able to make adjustments to compensate for those errors that I just made here. I was thinking what would be the next step with these doors? Put the field in, or install the doors, or paint them. And I decided painting is what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint the doors brown. I'm not sure even yet what I'm going to put in the fields. I may put a contrasting color in there, I'm not sure. But anyway, we're going to paint the doors brown, and then they'll be ready to do the next step, whatever that might be. And you notice here, I had to finally retire that old brush I had. I had it going since before the new year. So anyways, I got a brand new brush here. Ooh yeah, what a big difference, eh? So I'm going to paint up these frames, and like I say, I'm not sure what the next step is, but we'll figure that out when we get there, and we'll do it. And I'll take you along. So we're just finishing up here with the first coat of paint on the door. So I'd like to paint this and this cross piece and this vertical piece, and not the baseboard, but you know, I like to paint that part gray, and then the doors are going to be the contrasting brown to try to match what's going on with the bench. So in order to do that, I need to do some masking tape jobs. We'll set some tape in here. Okay, we got it all taped off here. We're going to start painting, and I even broke out a new brush for this job too, right? I hope I have enough paint left to do this. You know what, when you put masking tape on, it takes a while to put the masking tape on. Sure does make the painting a lot easier. You can just sort of slash it on. You don't have to be careful. You don't have to cut in, I guess. You still have to be careful. So we got this edge here painted in the header, and then this vertical piece. And I painted a little bit on the inside too, just because, you know, I was here. So I think the paint's dry enough that we can put the second coat on, so let's do it. And you know, the second coat goes on a lot like the first coat, except, you know, it covers better. So we're just finishing up the second coat here on the doors, and I think 2 coats is going to do it. All right, so that's it. When these dry, I think I'm going to put the hinges on, and then we're going to mount them even without the field panels in here, because I still don't know what I'm going to put in there. I can't find any material for that just yet, but I'm still looking. Well, the doors are all painted, but it's time to put the hinges on. And of course, we want to make sure they're square. Something like that. We'll mark some holes here. Okay, so we're going to do that 3 more times on this door, 4 more times on the other door, and I think I'm going to mount the doors because it might be easier to mount them and line them all up with no field panels in them, because the doors would be lighter. And then I put it off long enough, I'll have to go find something for the field, eh? So in order to mount the doors here, the hinges, the hinge plates have to screw to the wall or the frame. So I can't screw them in here because this is only 1.5 inches or 1 inch thick, right? And it has to go back about 1.5 inches. So what I did was I held the door up in place here, and I marked a couple of spots where the hinges are going to line up. And then I have some 1x3, just little pieces from the scrap pile. And I'm going to install those up here like that, and then they'll be backer plates then, so I can screw my hinge plates to them. So I'm just going to center this on the 2 marks there. All right, so now I got to do that for the other 3 of them, and that'll be okay for that door. This door here, those hinge plates can go right on this vertical piece. So we're going to put these hinge plates on the cabinet now. And these hinge plates, the wide part here faces outwards, so just, you know, it's good to keep that straight. Also, I've already installed the top one, but I had a hard time with that because it was up high. I had a hard time seeing what I was doing. So I thought I'd mount this one and take the camera along just so you get an idea of how we're going to mount them. So I've already marked on here 2 marks where the hinges were when I laid out to put these spacer blocks in the back. The location of this back from the face of the cabinet is, I forget what it said, because I did the math and I figured it out that it was 1.5 inches. So I don't care what it says in the book, I'm putting it 1.5 inches back. So I made a little spacer here, 1.5 inches. So I put that flush with the face of the cabinet, and then just draw a vertical line there, and I'll install this. I'm going to put the other two on this side. Then I'll mount the 2 or the 4 of them that go on this side. And then we'll see if we can get the doors to click in there and see how it looks. Let's see how I make out installing the door. Ooh. Okay, you know what? Putting that door on without the field was a smart move. I lucked into that one because it takes a lot of adjustment to get those 4 hinges to line up. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. This was a battle with a capital B to get these doors hung so that they close halfway decent. The doors, well, this one on the right is warped, so it sticks out from the bottom and I can't get it to close tight at the bottom. But they close tight at the top and they're more or less even. I was doing some adjusting. The gap between them is pretty near right. And they both open fully. So, you know, that's 90% of the battle, I think, eh? And as far as that door not closing down here at the bottom, but I'm thinking that's, the wood is probably not finished warping yet. So, anyway. I can't say I'm really pleased with the way they went in, but nevertheless they're in, and I think it's going to work out. It's going to be behind the door, so. So I searched high and low, and all I could come up with was this 1/4 inch OSB. So I think I'm going to use this. These used to be the fronts of the sliding doors that were in the long bench, so put these to good use. So I'm going to go to work and cut these up, and then fit them in the doors, and then see about painting them and whether I want to paint them a contrasting color or what I might do. Not sure just yet. So to start with, I had finger holes cut in these to open and close the door, so I'm going to cut those off. We're getting close to the end, friends. You know what? I got all these panels cut out, rounded over the corners, sanded down the edges, and I decided that I'm going to paint them. And I'm going to paint them the same color as the walls. I didn't want to paint them all the same color because it would look too dark in that corner. So anyway, we're going to put a couple of coats on here, and then when that's dry, we'll be able to install them. And guess what? This job will be finished. We're going to do a lot of painting here in the next little while. And you've seen me paint before, so I'll check back with you later. So there's one of the panels. The paint is not quite dry, but it's dry enough, I think, to try to put it in place. So let's try to put it in place. Okay, so I've got 3/4 inch brads in my air gun. So that's looking pretty good. So we're just getting ready to put the last panel in here. So far they've been going in pretty good. So now I have to put the last handle on there. Wouldn't you know it, eh? The last part in the handle split. Look at that, split. You know what I'm going to do though? I'm going to glue that back together. So what I did was I just put some glue in there, squeeze that together. And then just to make sure it kind of stays together, I'm going to shoot a couple of brads in it. So I put 3 brads in it just because they're cheap. Always happens, eh? At the tail end of a project, you're rushing, trying to finish it up. There you go. So you never know that was broke. Now, for these pieces here, like these couple of marks here, where the nails pop through, I got a solution for that too. Another good reason not to wash out your brush. Now those spots are showing up kind of different color, but that'll dry out. There. Doesn't look too bad from afar. Tell you what, I had a lot of fabrication difficulties with this one, but we managed to get them overcome for the most part, and we got her installed. Got our little piece of baseboard put back in here. The handles on here, we can open them up, and then we can access our electrical panel. I've got a couple of clamps in here. I can access my service entrances down here. And when we close the doors, you know, if they're like me, they take their good old time doing it, but they eventually get her done. So the door still opens. One concern though, I'm probably going to have to, hard to see it here, but going to have to put some sort of stop here, or else that is just going to smash a hole right in that panel. So that's it, the end of this project. It's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Plus I had a bunch of mistakes in a day, made a bunch of mistakes. But you know, that's what happens when you're making projects and doing projects. You make mistakes, and if you can overcome them, then the project is all that much better. So I want to thank you for watching along. I know this was a two-part one, and the episodes were long, and I don't like making long episodes, but there was a lot to this too. So anyway, thumbs up me. Let me know in the comments what you think of my cabinet. Do you like the contrasting colors, or would you rather it all one color? I don't know, I like it this way. Have a great week, folks. We'll talk to you soon.